Alright, so this is my reflection video. So why did I choose these colleges? Really, ever since I was little, I always wanted to be an engineer. My grandpa was an engineer for GM, and he got me into Legos, like you see over there. Um, I've always really been into the whole engineering thing. Um, but So I chose these colleges because I looked up top colleges for engineering in the country, which obviously came up with MIT. Um, you know, Georgia Tech was in there. U of M was in there, and University of Colorado Boulder, which was the one that I was considering. However, apparently they don't have an undergraduate program, which I thought was the weirdest thing. Um, Looked up what was in the state. I think it went U of M, Michigan Tech, Kettering, Michigan State, and then Lawrence Tech. I knew that I didn't want to go to Michigan State just because it's such a huge school. And so then I kind of crossed that out. I didn't really find out too much about Lawrence Tech, so I just kind of crossed that off. And I knew that I wouldn't be able to get into U of M. So I was stuck with Kettering and Michigan Tech, which is by no means my last choice, just what was left. So, two or three most important details. Location's not a problem, really. Um, I know that it's like a huge difference between them because the 10-minute drive versus the 10-hour drive. Um, and then there's the size, not too big of a deal unless I'm going to be like 1 in 500 students per class. So uh, I know that Kettering's going to actually, it's a really tiny school. It's 85 acres compared to the 1.5 square miles, which is a little over 1,000 acres for Michigan Tech. And type of school, they're both like the same thing. They're both four-year tech colleges. They're co-ed, and there's no religious affiliation with either. Um, Admissions requirement, this is probably one of the big ones. They both accept the ACT and SAT. The average GPA for Kettering is a 3.64 compared to Michigan Tech, which is 3.7. So that's not that it's not a big difference at all. Average SAT, which is kind of the biggest problem if I want to get into Michigan Tech, it would be 1290, which I have an 1140, which is actually the average SAT for Kettering. So I'd be pretty good if I wanted to go to Kettering. Average ACT is a 27 for Kettering and a 27.2 for Michigan Tech. Kettering has a 70% acceptance rate, as where Michigan Tech has 75.5. Neither of them that I could find had a application fee. So there's that. Academics, kind of both around the same thing. Uh, Financial aid. This is probably the biggest difference between them. Um, about 55 grand a year for Kettering. For this is for total for everything, including tuition, boarding, food, everything. But it's only 28 grand for Michigan Tech, and there are still scholarships for both, which would be the biggest difference. But I know that Kettering, if I went there, I wouldn't have to worry about boarding because I'd be able to stay at home. It's only just up down 75 at Flint, so I think it's like 10 grand that I can knock off actually. Um, Housing, that's not too big of a deal because I know what would really happen in the end. Um, Facilities and campus and activities I just kind of put into one. Um, since Kettering's such a small campus, it only has like one restaurant. It's not even a restaurant. It's like fast food. It's like that Einstein's Bagels place. They have two residential buildings, two main academic buildings, which I didn't include any of the labs or testing facilities. They also have a children's museum, which really doesn't apply to me. Um, they have over 50 student organizations and several intramural sports. Uh, I wasn't really sure what that was, but I guess it's like a little kind of almost like games that you can just go play for fun. Um, Facilities for Michigan Tech, they are since they're so far away, they're kind of in the middle of nowhere. they even said it on their thing, since they're in the middle of nowhere, they don't want to bore everyone. So they have the campus is on Portage Lake, and they have a ski area and a golf course. They also have the tech trails, which I guess are just like trails you can go walk down through the woods. It's and all of them are free, including all sports games, which is really nice because they have a tier one hockey team that would be really fun to go watch. Um, they have 15 academic buildings. Like I said, didn't include the labs or testing facilities. They have a museum. I think it's like Rocks and Minerals Museum. Then they have all the sports fields and all the courts and all that. Um, then they have 9 residential buildings on campus, so that would be really nice. Activities wise, they have over 220 student organizations compared to the 50 at Kettering. Um, and they even said like, if you don't, if you want to do something of your own, go ahead and make it. Just find some people that also want to do it. Um, they have the varsity teams. You can go skiing, golfing, hiking, biking. It's all free. And then they also have their intramural sports. Um, Admissions page info. Um, so from what I was able to find, Kettering doesn't exactly have too much admission requirements. Uh, I already completed pretty much all of it. I completed all the required coursework. Um, the only recommended thing that I would have to do is calculus, which I'm taking next year. Um, then they have the ACT and SAT scores. They also said, which is kind of an interesting thing, they calculate a separate GPA for math, science, and English. So that would be very nice because together my GPA is not great, but separately I think it would be pretty actually high. And for Michigan Tech, the info that I was able to really actually find on here, it said they have like a 94% job placement rate, um, and they have 5,717 undergraduate enrollments, $126,000 of our or 126,000 hours of paid graduate research. So just kind of go and research, and they'll actually pay you for it. Um, they also, and then they said that they don't charge anything for snowboarding, golfing, skiing, or athletic events or arts. Um, and then it's just a whole bunch of different random things, little fun facts, kind of. Um, Potential field, what I learned. So I learned actually a lot, really. They talk about like how you can go to college at these schools, and then they'll have different programs and everything, which I thought they have. I don't really know how to explain it, but they have different courses at the different schools. So, and it's the same program. So if you want to be a mechanical engineer at one school, you have to take different classes if you want to be a mechanical engineer at the other. Um, and That's kind of what I was leaning towards. I want to be a mechanical engineer. Uh, the other thing I was kind of really leaning towards was chemical, but it's one of those things that like you can be it, but what are you going to really do? Because you can be anything with chemical engineer. Like you can go make plastics, but you can also go make toothbrushes. So that's one of the things that kind of made me want to be a mechanical engineer. Um, Other things like what the actual fields that you can do with mechanical engineering, because it's not just like mechanical engineer. It's either like you can be like a mechanical engineer, you can be like an aerospace mechanical engineer. You can do all sorts of really cool things with mechanical engineering, including working for car companies. You can work for Facebook even. I guess I don't know what they do with it, but I guess they have mechanical engineers at Facebook. You can also go work with like making airplanes or rocket ships, which I thought would be the coolest thing. Um, I also learned that you can actually work for Lego as one of the people that go and design different like the different like little things that you can build. And so overall, I think I realized college is actually a lot more than you would think. Um, Initially I thought it was just like go there after high school and then you get a job. But that really I didn't know too much going into this project. Um, I Everything pretty much that I know now is from this project. So uh, that's pretty much what I realized. I learned everything. Um, how will this help me in the future? My educational plan. I pretty much have it down to two colleges, like I said. So if I want to go to Kettering or Michigan Tech, that's pretty much the only two things that I really want to, you know, decide between. Obviously, I'm going to apply to other colleges just to, have a backup plan in case. You never know. I've also been thinking about going to a junior college just so I can get make get that GPA back up uh, if it really does make a difference. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much my pretty much the end of my video.